Okay, so we've all been there. You get this amazing idea. Maybe it's a new project or finally saying something important in a meeting or, even a big career shift. And for a second, you feel totally ready. Like, let's do this. Hey. But then, bam, the questions start. Just this flood of what ifs. What if I fail? What if everyone hates it? What if I've missed something crucial? What if this is the wrong choice? And suddenly your brain turns into this internal debate club, right? And doubt's got the loudest voice. You feel like you're being careful, diligent even. But the truth is, you're just stuck, stoozed by your own thinking.
That's it, exactly. That feeling of being frozen, that's overthinking. But you nailed the really sneaky part. It feels like you're doing something productive. I mean, your mind is working, right? It's busy. But all the research, everything we looked at says the same thing. It's really just, sophisticated stalling. You're burning through energy, draining yourself emotionally, and crucially, not actually moving forward at all.
Okay.
So what we're doing today, and this meant to be like a practical guide for your mind, we've pulled together the best thinking on how to get from that endless loop of analysis to actually taking action. The goal isn't to just stop thinking. That's impossible. It's about learning how to think, usefully, just enough to make a smart choice, and then move. Even if it's not perfect, just move confidently.
Okay, so let's start right there, because distinguishing between useful planning and that quicksand of just thinking in circles, seems key. How do we tell the difference between a healthy reflection and the stuff that just keeps us stuck?
It's interesting because they can look similar at the start. Healthy reflection. That's about weighing options, thinking about potential problems, maybe making a plan. It's sort of linear. It moves towards a conclusion and action. Overthinking, or what researchers call rumination, is when it goes circular. We're just replaying the same thoughts, the same worries, the same scenario over and over, but you never get anywhere new. And the harder you try to think your way out, the more stuck you get. It's like mental quicksand. Our sources, they basically describe it as your brain getting obsessed with certainty instead of focusing on progress. And it's a game you can't win because absolute certainty just doesn't exist.
Yeah, that rings true. And if you're listening, I bet you recognize some of the signs in yourself, like maybe spending way more time preparing to do something, researching, making lists, organizing than actually, doing it. Or constantly looking for reassurance from other people, asking different friends the same thing, trying to get validation for a decision you probably already know you need to make. And the classic one, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, which, let's be honest, never really shows up, does it?
Right. And it's so hard to break free because overthinking is clever. It often shows up disguised as something positive. It whispers things like, oh, you're just being responsible, or this is just thoroughness, maybe even I'm a perfectionist. But when you dig down, like the research does, that caution is almost always driven by fear. It's just fear wearing a very clever mask, trying to protect you from discomfort or potential criticism.
Okay, so that's the core of it then. Why are we trying so hard to protect ourselves? It seems like it boils down to a few really powerful fundamental drivers that kept coming up.
Exactly. Number one, and maybe the biggest, is the fear of failure. It's this attempt to guarantee success before you even start. We try to think our way to a foolproof plan, to eliminate all risk. But that quest for guarantees, it just traps you. The real failure, the one we should worry about, is actually failing to even try.
Right alongside that is perfectionism. Not the healthy kind, like striving for quality, but the kind that says, I can only start when everything is absolutely flawless, which completely ignores how things actually get done right. Progress is messy, it's iterative, great work almost always comes from imperfect first steps.
Then there's lack of confidence. When you doubt yourself, it feels like more thinking, more analysis will somehow create the certainty you're missing inside. But confidence isn't built by thinking, it's a result of doing. You don't get confident, then act. You act, and that builds confidence. It's backwards from how we often approach it.
And something huge today, just sheer information overload. There are so many options, so many best practices, so much advice out there. Choosing any path can feel overwhelming, like you might pick the wrong one. We get paralyzed trying to find the absolute optimal choice instead of just a good one.
And the last big one is the fear of judgment. What will people think? What will they say if I mess this up? That fear of looking foolish or being criticized can be paralyzing. But the irony, which the research highlights, is pretty funny, actually. Most people you're worried about, they're way too busy overthinking their own stuff to spend much time judging you.
Yeah.
They're stuck in their own mental debate club, too.
Huh. That really does reframe it. Okay, so we know why we get stuck. Let's talk about the damage it does, because it's not just wasted time, is it? It costs us a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge drain. First off, it kills creativity. New ideas need space. They're often a bit messy, uncertain. When your mind is jammed with doubt, anxiety, just churning through the same calculations, there's simply no room left for genuine insight or, that creative spark. Overthinking just smothers new ideas.
And it's deadly for action. The longer you wait, the longer you stay in that loop of, I'll start tomorrow or next week or when I feel ready. Your brain starts to link action itself with risk. It learns that moving is dangerous. So even taking the smallest first step starts to feel huge, terrifying, because you've basically trained your brain to fear momentum.
It also steals joy. I mean, think about it. Joy happens now, in the present moment. But overthinkers, they're rarely in the now. They're either worrying about the future, what if this goes wrong, or regretting the past, I shouldn't have done that. Ooh, living outside the present just means you miss out on the good stuff, the satisfaction, the simple engagement with life.
Yeah, let's not forget relationships. Constantly analyzing every little word, every text, every look from someone, you end up inventing problems, creating tension where none exists. You assume the worst because your brain is on high alert for risk, and it just erodes trust and connection.
Yeah, the costs are definitely serious. But here's the upside. We can shift out of it, and pretty quickly, actually. The main idea isn't to shut down your thoughts, but to learn how to use your mind to find solutions, not just circle anxieties. And once you have a potential solution, the next step has to be movement.
Okay, love that. So let's get practical. What are the specific tactics, the tools we can use to interrupt that cycle and actually get moving?
First step, you absolutely have to recognize the loop. Become aware when you're doing it. Catch yourself replaying that same worry, that same scenario, and then pause and actually label it. Say to yourself, maybe even out loud, okay, this is overthinking. Just naming it creates a little bit of distance. You shift from being the thought to observing the thought. That separation is the first key to getting back in control.
Okay, label it. Got it. What's next?
Create urgency. Set a time limit for decisions. Overthinking loves an open-ended schedule. You have to impose a deadline. Maybe it's 10 minutes for a small choice, maybe 24 hours for something bigger. But when that timer goes off, you act on the best information you have right then. It forces decisiveness and trains your brain that good enough and moving is better than perfect and stuck.
I like that. Forced decisiveness.
Third, and this one's really effective, journal your thoughts. Get them out of your head and onto paper. It's not just about venting. When a worry is just bouncing around in your skull, it feels huge, emotional, maybe even existential. But when you write it down, you make it concrete. Your rational brain can then look at it more objectively, like a problem to be solved rather than just a feeling to be stressed about.
Makes sense. Externalize it. What else?
You have to deliberately focus on control. Overthinking gets lost in the what ifs, which are mostly out of your control. You need to consciously shift your focus to, okay, what can I do right now? What actions are actually within my power? Anchor yourself to your sphere of influence, which is usually your immediate effort and actions, not the final outcome.
Right. Shift from what if to what now. Love it.
And here's a really practical, almost physical trick. Use the 5-second rule. Mel Robbins talks about this. The idea is when you have that instinct to act, to speak up, get up, send the email you have about 5 seconds before your brain kicks in with fear and hesitation. So you count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
right,
and physically move. Just do the thing. It interrupts the hesitation loop before it can fully take hold.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Simple.
And finally, this might be the most powerful one for long-term change. Practice small, imperfect actions. If perfectionism is the enemy, then small, messy action is the cure. Don't aim for the perfect launch. Just send the rough draft. Don't plan the whole workout. Just put on your shoes and walk out the door. Each tiny action you take, even if it's flawed, builds momentum. And crucially, it sends a safety signal to your nervous system. See, moving is okay. We survived.
Okay, those are great tactics, but making them stick, that feels like it needs more than just tools, right? Like a deeper shift.
Exactly. This is about identity. The long game is shifting how you see yourself. Moving from identifying as an overthinker to identifying as a doer.
And how do you start that?
It starts with language, how you talk to yourself. Begin using phrases like, I'm the kind of person who takes action, or I'm someone who figures things out as I go. You start aligning your self-perception with the behavior you want. Your brain actually wants to be consistent with who you tell it you are.
Okay, so talk the talk.
And then change how you measure success. Celebrate effort, not just outcomes. This is huge. If your only measure is, did I get the perfect result? then any setback feels like total failure and it's crushing. But if you celebrate showing up, trying, putting in the work, then your motivation stays high. Even when things don't go perfectly, effort is always within your control.
Which leads naturally to redefining failure, I guess.
Precisely. The most effective people, the doers, they don't see failure as some final judgment on their worth. They see it as feedback, pure data. Okay, that didn't work. What did I learn? What can I try next? Failure becomes information, not an indictment.
Okay, that takes the sting out of it.
And maybe the hardest shift, but essential for being a doer, is learning to tolerate uncertainty. You have to accept that nobody ever feels 100% ready. That feeling of perfect clarity, it almost never comes before you start. Clarity comes from the doing, from engaging with the real world. You find certainty in motion, not by waiting for it.
All right, so we need the mindset shift alongside the tactics. What about prevention? How do we set up our days to minimize the chances of getting sucked into overthinking in the first place? The sources had some good ideas here, like starting the day with a morning clarity routine. Doesn't have to be long, maybe just 10 minutes. Could be quiet breathing, maybe some journaling. But the key is asking one focused question. What's the one most important thing I can take action on today? That really cuts through the noise.
Yeah, that focus is powerful. Another great preventative strategy is to schedule thinking time. Sounds weird, right? Scheduling worry. But instead of letting anxieties pop up whenever they feel like it, you assign them a specific slot, say 20 minutes at 6 p.m. You tell yourself, okay, I'll deal with that worry then. Often by the time 6 p.m. rolls around, the worry feels smaller, or you realize it wasn't worth stressing over all day.
Containment. I
Yeah.
like it. And don't forget the physical side.
Absolutely. Physical movement. It's not just a fuzzy clears your head thing, a walk, some stretching, anything really. It physically reduces stress hormones like cortisol and helps reset your nervous system. It pulls you out of that anxious fight or flight state where rumination thrives.
Simple, but effective.
And one more structural defense. Limit information intake. Be mindful of how much you're consuming. If you're drowning yourself in dozens of articles or opinions on one decision, you're practically guaranteeing paralysis. Choose a few good sources, trust the information you have, and then move.
Okay, let's make this really concrete. The material had a couple of examples, right?
Yeah.
Like Maria.
Right, Maria, the hesitant creator. She dreamed of starting a YouTube channel for years, but was totally paralyzed. My camera isn't good enough, people will laugh, all that stuff. Her breakthrough came when she set that 24-hour rule. Any idea had to have some action taken within a day. No more just letting it sit in her head. She forced herself to just record something short and imperfect. It wasn't about making a masterpiece, it was just about doing it. And repeating that small, imperfect action, that's what built her channel and her confidence.
Progress through action, not perfection.
Right.
What about Rafi?
Rafi, the fearful decision maker, hated his job but was stuck making endless pros and cons lists about leaving. Just agony. He finally shifted by using that focus on control idea combined with redefining failure. He asked himself, okay, if failure is just feedback, what path actually excites me, even if it's uncertain? He decided to start his own small consulting gig. It was scary, sure, but he realized the clarity he craved wasn't going to come from the list. It only came when he started moving and dealing with the real challenges.
Those stories really hit home. It feels like the core message is this. Action transforms you. You shift from just being someone who thinks thoughts to someone who actually creates outcomes. Overthinking tricks us into chasing certainty, but real control, real power, it comes from movement.
Yeah.
You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need everyone's approval. You just need that courage for the first step, however small or imperfect.
Exactly. And maybe the final thought to leave you with, the real mind shift needed, is this. Try replacing that anxious question, what if it all goes wrong, with a curious one. Okay, let's see what happens next. Frame your actions not as a dangerous test, but as an exploration. Because here's the secret. Once you start moving, your mind tends to follow your motion, not cling to your fear. So go on, be the person who acts.